Party. There's a party in the jumbo. You better know stuff for what.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Mark Black Show. This week I'm on my own, nobody here with me, so I'm going to use this as an opportunity to talk about my recovery and my sobriety and how I got sober and how I stay sober, and what being sober has done for my life. So I started drinking when I didn't start drinking until I was like 18, 19, partying just as you usually do, go out. I've never get blackouts or, I'd never blackout drunk, but when I discovered cocaine, it spiraled really quickly. Do you know what I mean? It kind of brought me to my knees within a couple of years. And I have a brother in recovery, and he'd always speak to me about recovery, and I just always thought, no, that's no me. I'm not that bad. It's not that bad. And it did become that bad. They always say to you in recovery, like, when you think it's no bad enough, just take that as a yet. That it will eventually get bad enough. So I hit my rock bottom 2023. Actually 2022. And I came into my first meeting terrified. Sat up the back, didn't even listen in. I was so in my own head. And I ended up going back at the door after 5 months of being sober. I was in France, fucking sitting with all the French cunts. And the thing about the French is they make drinking and smoking look cool. So I mean, this is glamorous. We're sitting by the Seine having a wee clop, a wee Jurgen Klopp. And I'm no joking. I ended up having a glass of wine, and 3 years later, I was in a rave, begging people for eckies, and I got them. So that's the insanity. 5 months of being off it, and then just bang, straight in at the deep end. So I drank, I stayed at the door through the summer, hit another rock bottom, and my final rock bottom at the Fringe Festival. The thing about the Fringe that people don't say is that, see, if you're an addict, it's the worst place for you, because you come out of your gig, there's a DJ playing Kylie Minogue, Love at First Sight, your pal's got a patsy on a platter for you, and your other pal's holding you a pint. You're like, I can't no get on it. So that was a pretty dark time. And eventually I surrendered, and I was like, right, I need to go back to that recovery stuff. So I started going back to meetings, and I started to understand what I suffer for. So the massive kind of revelation you have coming into recovery is you realise that drink and drugs aren't the problem. And I know that might sound mental to some people, but drink and drugs are the solution to my problem. My problem is that I've got this inner fucking, they call it a malady, whatever you want to call it, this inner self-centred illness almost, that I can't get rid of. And drink and drugs take it all away. When I drink or take drugs or smoke weed or whatever, I get relief. I get relief from my cell. I get out my head. I was constantly trying to get away from me. Ever since I was a child, I never felt like I belonged. I never felt like I fit in. Always felt like I was on the outside looking in. And I grew up in a household where my dad he didn't drink when I was growing up. He stopped drinking when I was young, but he was, there was alcoholism, what we describe as alcoholism, that my dad was mentally unwell. So I grew up in a house where there was that kind of stuff. There was violence, there was emotional abuse, there was, and it doesn't make you an addict, but it definitely was the start of all that low self-esteem and fear of conflict, fear of confrontation. And then my whole childhood into adult life was just full of fear, full of anxiety, feeling like I'm not good enough. This constant seesaw of low self-esteem with fucking ego. You've got to make yourself feel big when you don't feel good inside, and then the other way around. And but when I went into recovery, I really started to learn. They just tell you to keep coming back, because eventually it starts to register that drinking drugs isn't the problem, it's the solution to your problem. And you start to look at why do I constantly want to get out of my nut? I'm always trying to run away from me, do you know what I mean? So I started going through the big book. I'm not going to talk specifically about certain fellowships because you're not meant to do that, but I'll just talk kind of in general about what the 12 steps does. And so basically you're told when you come into recovery to the suggestions, which are to keep coming back, to get a sponsor and go through the steps, and then get to as many meetings as possible. And I spent a while no going through the steps, and my head was a riot, because what tends to happen is, when you get sober and you put down drink and drugs, your life gets worse because you've no numbing agent, you've no relief. So a lot of the time when people get sober initially, life gets really fucking hard because all your emotions are there. It's just like on top of you every day. This voice in your head is fucking turned up to 100 and you can't get rid of it because all you've ever known is escaping through a substance or anything that gets you out of yourself. So I started going through the steps with my sponsor, and these steps, you can look up the steps easily online. There's no secret. The steps are designed to relieve you of this spiritual malady, what they call it, but to get to the bottom of why you're full of fear, why you're full of resentment, why you're full of guilt, shame, and you unearth it all. I sit and go through my sponsor, all my harms I've caused to people, whether that's family, all my family relationships, romantic relationships, friendships. You go through all your harms, you go through all your fears, fears of no succeeding, fears of not being loved, fears of not having money, any sort of fear, anything that you're holding inside you that needs to come out, and that step 4 and 5 comes out and it's shared with another human being. Because you don't realise how much you've stockpiled all that shit throughout your whole life and just pushed it down. You just keep pushing, you just keep adding stuff and pushing it down. So see, once you get that out and say that to another human, I did this. I see when I was talking about my harms I'd done, I was scared they were going to be pure shocked, like, but they didn't even flinch because they were like, I've done worse than that. It's no a big deal. And the thing we have to constantly do in recovery is be connected and share our thinking. Because see, when you don't share your thinking, it seems real. Like, I can wake up in the morning and I've already fucking came up with a 3-part fucking movie of bullshit, things that are going to happen in my day and all nonsense. It's only fucking, I've not even had my breakfast yet and I'm already want to kill some cunt. Or I've already got my whole, how my life's not going to work out, mapped out in my head, and it's not even 9:30. So these steps, so you go through the steps and you surrender. You surrender something in yourself, and that's what happened when I came into the rooms, is I surrendered part of Mark's will. Something's not working here. I keep doing this a certain way and I keep ending up in the same position. I mean, I keep ending up in the same place every time, no matter how many times I promise people or I promise myself that I'm never doing that again. I mean, I'd had moments where I was out, like the funny moments. Some of the moments were funny. I spoke about my stand-up, the moment when somebody called me a junkie in Paisley, right? And that stopped me in my tracks. I mean, but it gets to that point, you're sitting in a gaff fucking telling young students, somebody put fucking Duran Duran on. And you're like, I seem like somebody's dad. So the first step is to admit you're powerless over drinking drugs and any mind-altering substances. When I start, I can't stop. That's the truth. Some people are different. Some people don't drink the way I did or take drugs the way I did. Some people do it more, but I can't guarantee my safety when I start drinking. But this is the mental thing about recovery, is so many people think, it's just for, I assume it's just for, like an alky, an alky you'd see in the street fucking at 2 in the afternoon with a bottle of wine, drinking every minute of the day. Like that's not what this is about. It's and without speaking about anybody apart, I'll use my ma as an example, right? I see my ma with the same problems that I have, the same fears, the same resentments. She's full of it every day, full of all this fear. And so even people outside the recovery who don't have a problem with drink still suffer. And I feel like that's what we're all suffering for, is this inner spiritual fucking, I don't feel comfortable with me. I don't feel comfortable being, I can't sit still and I constantly need to get away from me. So the first step is admitting you're powerless and your life will become unmanageable. And this is the hard part, is surrendering your will to something greater than you. Whether you believe in God or you, like I grew up in a Christian household, right? And I was put off the idea of God because I'm fucking in a church. I'd be in a church and everybody's saying my dad's the best cunt ever, right? And then, do you know what I mean? I remember my dad's funeral, cunt sitting in front going, "Oh, Big Stevie didn't have a fucking bad bone in him." I'm like, that's a lot of shite. So I didn't like church as a child. I hated it, actually. Anyway, they talk about God in recovery, but don't let that put you off. God is just anything that's no you anymore, that's no your will. It's about surrendering your will, no fucking no believing in Jesus or Allah. But it doesn't. That's nothing to do with it. It's are you willing to surrender that you can't manage your life anymore? You can't manage your drinking. And that's why I need recovery. I need to be connected to other addicts. Because see, as soon as I walk into a meeting, fucking, I can breathe. I'm like, there's people in this room who are the same as me, who can share honestly about how they're feeling and what's going on in their life and how they're struggling. And so can I. I can share that as well. And I just feel lighter. I feel at one with the fucking universe. Because I'm able to be honest and I'm not trying to fucking hold up this persona that I'm alright and I've got everything under control. See the relief you get when you admit you're powerless is mental. When you stop trying to grab onto the wheel of your life and I need to make this work for me. Things still happen. How is it when you let go of trying to manage stuff? Things still happen. They actually happen in a better way, in a more natural way. But for some reason, I feel that I need to have my hands firmly on the reins of my life. You're good, Paul. And that's a difficult thing, to surrender your will. But for me, it's a long process of surrenders. That's what my life in recovery has been. It's been constant surrenders, constantly trying to go back and do it my way again. If only I had that, and then I had that, and if I have enough money to do that, and if only they'll do what I tell them to do, then everything will be alright. And if I have enough money, I'll be alright. And if I have that motor, I'll be alright. And then you get there, and it's not enough. So you go through the steps, you make amends to people. You make amends to people that you've harmed. You can't imagine the relief you get when you make amends to people that you think hate you, think never want to speak to you again. And 9 times out of 10, every person I've made amends to has been so happy that I've done it, and it's completely amended our relationship. That ability to apologise, promptly admit that you're wrong. I'm able to do that now with my girlfriend. I'm able to do that with my mum, with my sister. Immediately, this resistance starts to leave you. I just felt constantly have this resistance inside me. that desire to be right, the desire to people to know, think people don't think you're a dafty, the desire to be desired. I don't know. So without going too much detail into the steps, I will say to anybody that's struggling with their drinking, drug taking, whatever it is, weed smoking, realise that it's no, the substance isn't the issue. The issue is deeper. It can only be relieved, I believe, from surrendering something inside you. They call it a spiritual experience, but it can only be relieved by a spiritual experience, is what they say. And I believe that. So ways that I practice that on a daily basis are, I wake up, I try and meditate. Sometimes I pray. I don't know what I'm praying to. Sometimes I'm just praying to the universe. That's the thing about God. God can just be the universe. It's just something greater than you. Because they make the joke and say, like, well, are you willing to put your life in the hands of that fucking chair? Because my life in the hands of that chair is better than than my life in the hands of Mark. Because in the hands of me, my life get burnt to the ground, and it almost killed me. You know what I mean? It was dark. It was fucking dark. Like, really wanting to kill myself, hurting people, feeling the guilt. It's just compounding guilt on top of guilt, and it eventually broke me down to the point where as I've said, I surrendered, and I came into recovery. Recovery is remarkable, and it only works if you work it. Genuinely. We're up against it with our fucking ego and our mind. As the book in recovery refers to it as self, right? You hear these words, self, ego, the mind. It's all the same thing. It's just this fucking chattering mind that like wants to destroy you, almost. So even if you don't drink alcoholically or take drugs dangerously, you should still try and connect with something greater than you. Doing something like volunteering at a soup kitchen or a homeless shelter or anything charity based. See, when you do that, you feel this fucking surge of relief and oneness with people, humanity, the universe. And do you know why that is? Because we're no longer concerned with ourselves. So they talk a lot in recovery about selfishness and self-centeredness, right? And this is a thing that really, really stood out to me. Selfishness, that word selfish, I've been so accustomed to hearing that my whole life. Selfish cunt, you're a selfish bastard, selfish, right? Now, what I see selfishness is complete self-centeredness. My every waking thought is about me, good and bad. Think I'm better than people, don't think I'm good enough. And the problem is self-centeredness, right? It's this attachment to me all the time. I wake up, I think about me. So when you're away helping people, you're away fucking volunteering or doing charity work or I'm helping somebody through the book just now in rehab. When you start helping other people, you get away from fucking you. Stop thinking about you and your problems and why things aren't going your way. You need to stop having a way. If you stop having a way, things can't no go your way. So I'm self-centered to the core, and that was the problem. And it's been a very gradual process of unraveling that by doing what's suggested to me in recovery, which is helping other people, showing up to my meetings, doing service, reaching out to people that are struggling. It's all about connection. That is, I know I'm starting to sound like James English now, but it's all about connection, brother. Connection is the opposite of addiction. And my mind wants to isolate me. It wants to have me on my own, in my house, using, no talking to MD, thinking I don't need recovery. And that is what they describe as the illness. But aye. So I can't describe to you how much recovery has changed my life, right? And I don't mean anything to do with success or material things. What it's given me is the ability to deal with life. The ability to deal with whatever happens in my life. I know I'm going to be alright. I can manage it. Do you know what I mean? Like whether it's somebody dying, whether it's breakups, whatever it is, I know I'll be alright. It's a manual for living life is what recovery is. It's not a magical wand that's going to solve everything. It's about life's going to be shite. People are going to die. Bad things are going to happen. The world's fucking on fire as we know it. But it helps me deal with all of that. And it's a remarkable thing. And if anybody wants to reach out or is struggling with they're using or whatever it is, just they should. And they should. There's so much recovery in this city. So much. Every day there's like tens of meetings. Every week in Glasgow there's hundreds of meetings, and these people don't want anything from you. They literally just want to help you. And it's mental what happens when people just get in a room and share how they feel. Like it just, everything falls away. The stress, the anxiety just goes. But I was about to say I'm grateful to be here, I'm sober. But yes, I just think it's important to talk about it. But the thing is that before, when I was getting on it and that, I'd talk about this kind of spiritual stuff, and I was bullshitting because I was living in the madness, and I was talking a good talk, but I was action. I'll just finish on talk about this. The action. The other thing I've really came to realise over 2.5 years is that action, that knowledge is fuck all without action. See this? I know. I don't know how many times I'd say I know, like, I know, I need to do that, I know I need to stop doing that. It's like, see those words that come out of your mouth, I know what I need to do, they're actually a hindrance. They get in the way because you're not doing it. You're not acting. You're knowledge is nothing without putting in the action. But it comes back to this whole thing with that fucking Eckhart Tolle talking about the power of now, like being able to sit in the present moment every day, getting back to the present moment constantly. Is anything actually wrong right now in my life? Because our anxiety, we're constantly anxiety about the future and resentment and shame and guilt of the past. And we just can't live in the moment. And that's why meditation is very important. And I don't, some days my meditation's shite. Some days I want to wake up and I want to control my day and I want to make sure everything goes right, and it ends up, I end up with a fucking knot in my stomach because nothing's gone my way. So I'm grateful that I found recovery, because it's a miracle. It's genuinely the most amazing program I've ever experienced in my life. The most amazing experience in my life. You see people recover for like near death, on the brink of a miserable drug death, to like having a life beyond their wildest dreams. Genuinely. So don't knock it till you've tried that. So I'll just leave it there. But thank you for listening, guys. I hope if that resonated with anybody, give me a DM if you want to. But thank you. Goodbye.